Welcome to the Leadership on Engaging Membership. This presentation was created and facilitated by Karen Artizone and Samantha Damaris from the Student Involvement Office, Student Centers and Activities. The agenda for today includes the following: challenges of the virtual environment, engagement in your organization, hosting successful meetings, navigating team dynamics, virtual communication tips, and icebreaker ideas. If we were in a live session, we would have hosted a Kahoot session right now, or a Kahoot quiz. This is a great way to engage your membership, but it's also a great way to have an icebreaker or even just a trivia game if that's what you wanted as an event. Here are some of the challenges of being remote. We'd like to begin by exploring these challenges that your members may face because it's good to be aware and consider these challenges when working with your members. First, consider one's access to technology. The student may not be as tech savvy or have the financial ability to have certain technology you may expect of them. Be conscious of considering different forms to participate, such as through phone or computer, with webcams or without. Second, with everyone being in different places and constant use of Wi-Fi for class, be aware that Wi-Fi issues happen and have a backup plan if it occurs during a meeting. Plan a way to communicate with members if your Wi-Fi acts up or theirs does. Third, consider time zones when picking meeting times because they may affect one's ability to attend and be an active member. Fourth, unstable home environments are a real and a serious issue for many during this unprecedented time. Be empathetic to others and be sure to show support to the needs of the group. Fifth, accessibility issues are a major challenge during the pandemic and in this remote environment, whether that is through Zoom fatigue, needing closed captions, or not being able to utilize the chat. Be sure to consider all ways to support your members with their various needs. Lastly, the lack of motivation is real and may affect one's ability to focus and keep on task. They are also struggling with lack of enjoyment being remote and virtual. There is also lack of social interaction with others, so keep in mind that this may be the only time peer-to-peer interaction occurs for your members. Okay, so now we'll go into promoting engagement within your organization. So first, get to know your members on a personal level. Things should not be just strictly business as you want to build a community. Second, early on in the semester, we recommend building a list of expectations you have for one another to promote a safe and open environment. This creates a connection between the group, which helps students look forward to participating. Third, find ways to help your members work together by promoting teamwork and assigning group projects. These projects can be done outside of general meetings, but allow members to connect outside of the main meeting to get to know one another since there's a lack of that in their daily life currently. Fourth, actively recognize members' work, whether something small or big. Find ways to recognize and shout out members as a way to keep up their motivation. Lastly, make yourself available to members. Leadership should be accessible and available to build a trust and understanding between all. So find ways to connect with members and make it that others can reach out to you if needed. Motivating your members. It is really important to be sure you're motivating your members throughout the year. You should treat all members equally and with respect as you would expect this from them. You should also work on generating enthusiasm. If you're excited, they'll be excited. This energy can be passed along to others, making members more interested in contributing. Find ways to connect with members outside of the club work as well. Recognize or mention birthdays, ask about things happening in their lives outside of the organization. Example could be if they have a big test, wish them luck, or if they have a competition coming up. Mention that. Also, find ways to recognize the members for their work throughout the semester and at the end. I always love paper plate awards. This is a time where you give out paper plates, which can be virtual, and has various awards given to people for fun or serious things. Also, gratitude jars are another great way to appreciate members. Have people submit anonymous comments about other members to share praise. It is not always possible for leadership to notice everything going on, so members recognizing others is a great way to boost morale too. It's also totally okay to provide feedback and criticism. This can help some members feel valued that you paid attention while finding ways to improve. Do this respectfully and one-on-one. Okay, so now we're going to move on to how to have successful meetings. Before any general body meeting, be sure to prepare an agenda. This will be important to keep you focused and on task, but also to eventually share with the group. We also recommend you send a reminder email or a calendar invite so people are reminded of the meeting in advance. A small nudge is always useful. As mentioned in the challenges, be sure to consider accessibility issues and try to use closed captions if possible. Lastly, be sure to prepare all materials for activities. Some instructions are not clear when sharing verbally, so try to write things out if possible. Running a successful meeting. As mentioned before, provide the agenda with the group so they know how the meeting will run. Try to be inclusive of all during your meeting too, so consider adding pronouns to your name tag and asking members to utilize their name box to add pronouns and preferred names. Throughout the meeting, be sure to utilize icebreakers to build community as well as getting to know everyone. Examples of icebreakers will be discussed later on. Also, plan to utilize different formats for the meetings as well, like breakout rooms, annotation features, etc. So members do not feel they are lectured at the entire meeting. Lastly, allow time for participation and also consider that silence is not always a bad thing. Give people time to think. Okay, so the post-meeting. After the meeting is over, things are not over yet for you. Send a follow-up email with helpful reminders and highlights of the meeting so people have it on record. Be sure to assign people tasks for when they leave too. This will allow members to be thinking about and working toward your organization's goals all week and not just at one meeting. This will also give them a sense of responsibility. Lastly, meet with your executive team to consider next steps and discuss how things went for preparation for future meetings. Okay, so now we're going to move on to team dynamics. Team dynamics are essential for success of an organization. Here are some things to consider when navigating your organization's team dynamics. It is important to set group expectations so everyone is on the same page and understands their expectations of respect amongst all your members. Then, as a leader, it is important to be an active listener and not be passive. Engage with what others are saying and show genuine interest. With that in mind, be observant of who talks in meetings and who's paying attention, as well as other nonverbal cues. This will allow you to understand who to connect with or check in with or consider asking for feedback from if they do not tend to talk in meetings. Considering the interaction people have with one another in a meeting is essential to engaging all members. Also, be willing to handle conflict. Conflict is not always easy, but it must be handled to move forward as an organization. Lastly, overall, be empathetic to others. This is a challenging time, so be sure that you're taking into consideration when leading your organization. Delegating responsibility. This should also not be a time that you feel you must do all the work yourself. It is important to delegate responsibilities to those in your organization. This will empower members to feel responsible and be an active member. Be sure to assign tasks with purpose and understand whose strengths best suit the need of the task. It may also be a good idea to have committee or project leads so that leadership can spread throughout the organization. You're still actively involved, but you can take a passive role in a project while others spearhead. Okay, virtual communication tips. Furthermore, consider the various ways you can communicate with your organization virtually. We highly recommend using email or group chats, but you can also use things like Microsoft Teams, Discord, or Slack. Also, be sure to use live social media. This is a great way to create engagement as you ask members to participate in social media challenges, but you can also use social media for shoutouts or recognition of members. In terms of utilizing communication online, be sure you're valuing people's time. People are on Zoom a lot, so be sure to consider if something can be done in a meeting or over email. With that in mind, avoid micromanagement. This is a time where it's hard to get back to someone right away or be sure they are online. So create deadlines and be sure to allow creativity because waiting on you to respond may not always be possible. With that in mind, set boundaries of time that you will send your emails or that you will respond. It's important to be prompt and responsive, but with the limits of your time and theirs. Okay, so here are some icebreakers. So given the remote environment, your meeting space may be the only time your members interact or have a social banter. This is a great time to connect and get to know your members. Here are some suggestions of icebreakers and activity. Planned a themed meeting. This can mean changing your background or wearing a certain outfit to have a theme for the meeting. This can get people excited and creative when signing on. Host social media takeovers. This allows people to put faces to names in your organization while also engaging them in the work of the org. The story of the group. This is an icebreaker where one person starts a sentence and it continues on to the next. And the goal is to create a Mad Lib type story to get people more comfortable with sharing on Zoom while also having fun. Prepare this or that icebreaker. If we were in a live session, I would have demonstrated this on the screen, but overall, this is creating a line graph on the screen and having people use the annotate feature on Zoom to mark where they're feeling or where they stand on a topic. Also, we highly recommend games. Utilize free online game sites such as Backyard.co, which has games like Cards Against Humanity and more. People also always love Among Us or escape rooms too. There's also a full list of icebreakers and game ideas on the Student Involvement Toolkit page. With that, we want to thank you for attending and listening to this workshop. Thank you for tuning in. And if you have any further questions, please contact the Student Involvement Office at the email above.